Mike Wilner joins us, longtime host of Jays Talk Now, columnist, podcaster with the Toronto Star. Mike, good to chat with you again, sir. And if you don't mind, we wake up today with the news, or at least in the last 24 hours, that Steven Matz is a St. Louis Cardinal. He's the guy that Buck Martinez said on this show would be his number one target to re-sign if you're the Blue Jays. Your thoughts on that move and how it affects Toronto?
Well, I mean, with great respect, he would not have been my number one target to re-sign if I were the Blue Jays. I mean, Steven Matz was the fifth starter for this team, who had a rough couple of first months and then really turned it on in July and August and was phenomenal post All-Star break. And yeah, they absolutely wouldn't have gotten to where they were without the second half Steven Matz. But Steven Matz is a guy who had an ERA over 9 in 2020 and didn't. Whatever you can think of pitcher wins, didn't have one. And he has a chance to have used this year as a jumping off point and be very good. But I would have been very, very reticent to give him a 4-year commitment at that kind of money. So, he was lovely for the Blue Jays and had a lovely year, but there are a lot of Steven Matzes out there.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of Robbie Rays out there. And, of course, he won the Cy Young a week ago today, turned down that qualifying offer from the Blue Jays. And what I heard a week ago, and I want your take on this, is that the Blue Jays will be in on everybody in free agency here this offseason. Do you believe that? And they're obviously going to be in on Robbie Ray, but do you think they have enough money to sign him?
Oh, they've got enough money to sign anybody they want. I mean, that's not an issue at all for this team. And they've shown in the last 2 years that they're willing to spend big money and big term. And even, last week when they gave Jose Barrios $131 million over 7 years to stick around. So, yeah, and they've still got plenty of money. So if Robbie Ray wants to be back in Toronto, he will be back in Toronto. But, there could be a team that blows a Blue Jays offer out of the water, as I'm sure St. Louis did, to not just the Jays offer, but everybody else's offer. Apparently there were 8 teams that Matz was deciding between as recently as last night. So I'm sure Ray has that many suitors, if not more. Robbie Ray, obviously coming off the Cy Young, but in general has much better stuff and a much better upside. Though he's had his problems in the past as well. He may be beyond them. I mean, I talked to him and to others about comparisons to Randy Johnson, other than the foot difference in height between the two of them. The stuff is very similar, and the progression through the major leagues until the age of 30 is also very similar. So, I'm sure that the Blue Jays are interested in having Robbie Ray back. They're interested in having Marcus Semien back. Probably won't be able to get both of them. And again, we have to remember that the free agency process is entirely up to the player. So it really doesn't matter what the Blue Jays do if Robbie Ray or Marcus Semien want to wind up somewhere else.
Well, can you talk about the shift in philosophy, I guess, because it's the same ownership, Mike, but it's new management in the Shapiro-Atkins regime, which isn't new. But with Alex Anthopoulos and the banners that went up in that building in Rogers Center in 15-16, they didn't have the money that these guys have now. What did you think with Alex toting the World Series trophy over his head this year with Atlanta? Did you think what might have been if the Blue Jays let a guy get away, or does it even matter anymore and they can win with what they're doing now?
Well, I think they can win with what they're doing now. And I think that they did have this kind of money when Alex was the general manager. I mean, the payroll, I believe, was higher in 2015 than it was this year. I think that the big shift in philosophy is the long-term contract. And that was something, that was a Paul Beeston rule. Paul Beeston was president of the Blue Jays for a very long time, and they had their greatest successes under him. And one of Paul Beeston's rules was you don't give a pitcher more than 3 years guaranteed, and you don't give anybody more than 5 years guaranteed. And the Blue Jays have broken that rule 3 winters in a row, right? Giving Hyunjin Ryu 4 years, giving George Springer 6, and giving Jose Barrios 7. So that's your change in philosophy there. And hopefully the payroll will rise accordingly to get back to where it was and even beyond where it was in the Alex Anthopoulos days. But if you want to turn the clock back, 6 years, yeah, I think Alex Anthopoulos was the right guy at the time to take over for Beeston and be the Blue Jays president, and hire Tony LaCava or Andrew Tinish or whoever, Perry Manassian underneath him to work as a general manager. And I think that the Blue Jays could have had a great deal of sustained success under Alex Anthopoulos. Now, the core at the time was aging, and there would have had to have been some sort of tear down. And to Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins's credit, the teardown that they did only lasted one terrible year. It was 2019 when they lost 95 games. And right now they're in position to be one of the better teams in the major leagues, just like they were in 15 and 16 and in the early 90s. So Shapiro and Atkins came with a plan. They've executed the plan. And to this point, it's worked, I think, at a greater pace than they imagined it would.
Outstanding. Well, making the playoffs in a COVID-shortened year and going down to the final day this year. And I just wonder if George Springer had been able to play more, Mike, in 2021, I know it would have registered more wins, and they would have been at least a wild card game, maybe higher. How do you typify or describe this first season for George Springer with the Toronto Blue Jays?
I mean, I did Blue Jays report cards at the end of the season, and I think I gave him an incomplete because he barely played half a season. I don't think he played half a season.
Yeah.
But the half season that he played was outstanding. You know, he put up some phenomenal numbers. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think he hit 20 home runs, 20-something home runs in less than half a season. He had an OPS over 900. He played a very good center field. So, you know, when he was on the field, it was a success. He just wasn't on the field enough. And that's the issue. And of course, had George Springer been able to play more, the Blue Jays would have won another game or two. And, you know, but you can go back and pick all kinds of things. If they had gotten Adam Simber a month earlier, if they had called up Alek Manoah a month earlier, all sorts of things that get you that one win. But the thing is, with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Mariners, there's also the story of all these things could have happened that would have gotten these teams one more win. So, you know, you play the way you play, and the season unfolds the way it unfolds. And the Blue Jays were the best fourth-place team in baseball history this year. And unfortunately for them, they, you know, played the second most difficult schedule in all of baseball, and fell one game short, but off a team that, again, lost 95 the last time there was a 162-game season. It was a dramatic and drastic improvement, and a phenomenal finish for them.
Well, Mike, that's what makes you so good. You're the first one that I've heard say the best fourth-place team in MLB history, and I think you're right. And you're also right about every team thinks about the games that got away. Yeah, no doubt. Mike, we got to roll, but I appreciate the time here, man, and hopefully we can do it once the pitchers and catchers report.
Hopefully the pitchers and catchers report before April. Yeah, that would be great.
Thanks, Mike. Mike Wilner joining us, Blue Jays podcaster, columnist from the Toronto Star. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.